The Mitre Cup round number 2. A bit more of a mixed bag than the first round, in terms of the first round kind of being all, for the most part, home victories, but still a lot of favourites getting victories here. Didn't see all the games, saw all the highlights, once again, it's kind of saw all of some of the games, bits and pieces of others, so you guys have to let me know for the stuff that I missed, because obviously not everything is shown on the highlights. The first one was Bay of Plenty going into counties and getting a victory 22-17. Bay of Plenty, perhaps the team for promotion this year. They look, well, they are, I mean, two from 2, so doesn't get much better than that in terms of a start. They had a lot of early dominance. They weren't able to get points on counties with that early dominance, but eventually it kind of paid off, especially in the second half. Chase Tia, who's kind of been on the fringes of Super Rugby before, scored a couple of tries. Willie Lose, for some reason, the commentator always calls Tyler Ardon. He's Ardon. Was driving me bananas with that. But, I mean, for County, Sam Henwood, he's a quality player, so he kind of showed that in this game. But that is County's none from 2, so not the best start to their season. Otago, who I was picking to kind of perhaps be a promotion team, have lost their second in a row, 31-25 at home to Hawke's Bay. Hawke's Bay, another team who are looking pretty good. They are also 2 victories and no losses. I mean, Evans is a real workhorse. He looks really good for them. Mason Emerson kind of shows what a smaller winger can do, like that kind of Nihi Milner-Skudder kind of build. You know, doesn't have to be the big bullocking winger, which we're kind of more used to seeing these days. Brad Weber is always class. So, yeah, there's a lot of good guys in that Hawke's Bay team. Josh Ioane, I think, is coming along. I need to get that pronunciation correct. It's coming along nicely for Otago, and that's promising for the Highlanders. And Koroi, man, that guy puts on some run meters. So, yeah, there's still some promising signs there for the future for Otago. It's a very young team, but yeah, they're none from 2. Taranaki managed to hold off Manawatu in their Shield Challenge, so 41 points to 21. A bit of news about this one in terms of the crowd. I think it was just 4,000 people there. But the main stand, I'm not sure if it's both or just one, is closed. It's not earthquake safe, so they're not allowed to put fans in that stand. I understand they have to kind of sit at the ends of the grounds, which is usually where the cheap seats are and not the best for watching rugby. So I've sat there plenty of times at Eden Park, but you know what I mean. So yeah, not ideal. Be better if they could kind of get that sorted, but obviously it's financial constraints and whatnot. So for Taranaki, Bodine Waka playing at fullback looked pretty good, and just running the show from 15. But speaking of 15s, it was a game of 15s because Junior Laloifi, I read that he's played 6 games for the Reds. I don't remember him, but the guy is lightning. He probably should be playing Super Rugby. I read that he played for the Reds like 6 games and then was released at the end of the kind of season in 2016. The only thing I can guess is that he's a bit small. So, a lot of coaches think, oh, he's too small for this level. But like I said with Mason Emerson, you don't have to be that big to be a good player, and he looks class. So I would be surprised if, based on, I mean, it's only 2 games into the season, but if he doesn't get a Super Rugby contract, I will be surprised. Yeah, both teams go 1 win, 1 loss. Now that Taranaki scrum was just too much for Manawatu to handle. So yeah, Shield stays with Taranaki for a wee bit longer. Next one, Canterbury back to winning ways after a poor first kind of game, although it was against Tasman, so can't criticise them too much. 27-20 over Wellington, which was a game between 2 teams kind of chock full of talent. I mean, Canterbury, Reid Prinsep, Braden Enor, George Bridge. These are very, very good players. These are Super Rugby level players. I mean, but then again, Wellington, you got Asafa Amua, Walker Liawere. He looks the business for a young guy. He's only 21. Amua's only 21. Umaga Jensen's only 20. There's plenty of talent in this team. Young team, both talented squads. Future in New Zealand rugby looks pretty good when you see guys like this playing, but obviously Good result for the men from Canterbury over what was a pretty tough Wellington opponent. Next one, Waikato have lost to North Harbour 28 points to 29. Doesn't get much closer. Waikato now 2 losses on the trot. So looking to bounce back to the Premiership, perhaps looks a bridge too far this season, although it's still early days. Harbour have got 2 victories in a row, but have not looked that good in either of those games, if I'm honest. It was pretty sick in this game that James Dargaville, is his first name James? Dargaville, anyway, the Aussie guy, went off with a concussion. Like, first run of the game, they kicked the ball, he got it, he ran, tackled and hit into the grass, just out. So that was pretty sickening. But yeah, I mean, you look at guys like Declan O'Donnell, who's another guy who's been on the fringe of Super Rugby for a while. I remember the Blues kind of had him in their wider training squad for 1 year. He looks really good at this level. So he's still playing for that Super Rugby contract. Sever Reese for Waikato looks very good. He's another guy to keep an eye on. 21-8, Waikato led this game, but North Harbour took it down 29-28. So good work to the boys from Harbour for coming back, but I still think they, with their squad, which has got a lot of Blues guys in it, I mean, Tavita Lee got 2 tries, he's Highlanders, but still, there's a lot of talent in that Harbour team, and they probably just need a bit of cohesion, and they can do better than they are doing. Although 2 from 2, can't complain too much. Tasman perhaps looked the team to beat, although Southland, who are predicted to finish dead last, did show some skills. There were some pretty sick offloads, and Southland got some late tries in that 45-24 loss away. So it was never going to be an easy job for them, but they didn't get embarrassed, although, you know, getting beaten by 20 points is never ideal. But I mean, you look at Tasman, I mean, Will Jordan is just magic. That kid's got talent. Makaleo is everywhere. So the forwards really just too good for Tasman. Tasman now got 2 from 0. Southland are none from 2. As I say, Tasman perhaps the team to beat this year. And the final game, Auckland 28, Northland 12. First time Auckland have been up to Whangarei for a long time to play Northland, apparently since 2009. I guess it's just the quirks of the competition, the way it is with the 2 divisions. But yeah, Auckland under pressure for lots of periods of this game, and managed to score kind of against the run of play early on. Nanai looked pretty good. He always looks good at this level as well. He's a guy with Super Rugby experience, so when he kind of takes it down a notch, he looks really excellent. Rene Ranger for Northland, that guy is just always there or thereabouts. Yeah, put in a good shift, but it wasn't enough. Northland were in front, but Auckland in the second half just proved too good. So, yeah. Concerning times for some of these teams, but it's only 2 games into the comp, so we can't really read too much into it. I mean, you look at Tasman, they look to be strong. Canterbury coming back against a strong Wellington team looks strong. But the 2 bays, Bay of Plenty and Hawke's Bay, perhaps the teams to watch in that championship division. Otago, maybe not so much. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Taranaki can kind of stay on track, because they've got a squad chock full of talent as well. Like I said, I didn't see every minute of every game, so you guys let me know on the guys I haven't mentioned. I've only mentioned kind of a handful here. But you guys let me know your thoughts. Next week I'll put the next week's fixtures, or it's this week now, this week's fixtures in the description, but it's, I mean, I'll let a look. I'm looking forward to Auckland Waikato, because that's a traditional rivalry. Waikato coming up to Eden Park, so there'll be a bit of cowbell there. Bay of Plenty against Canterbury, we'll kind of get a better idea where Bay of Plenty are at when they play a good team in Canterbury. Same true with North Harbour and Tasman, because they're the 2 teams undefeated. Harbour, I think, are going to have to step it up, because Tasman look to be very hard to beat. But like I said, you guys let me know your thoughts. Talk to you again soon. See you later.